Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the House of You podcast, sponsored by Voices for Voices. I am your host, Justin Allen Hayes, and today our guest is Dr. Jessica Hoffler. She is the founder and executive director of Piper's Key. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Justin.
Absolutely. Thanks for bearing with kind of the technical aspects.
Of course.
Really excited to have you on the podcast. Also for the live stream for those that are going to check that out, and really want to share again, kind of like the Voices for Voices kind of theme of sharing the voices for those that maybe can share their voice, maybe can't, maybe aren't able to. In your organization, for another organization I'm in, we kind of cross paths, and I just, first of all, it's emotional to learn about the organization. But what you're doing is fantastic, and I really want, if we could just start off by how Piper's Key started, and we can go from there and share with our audience.
Absolutely. So as you kind of said, Piper's Key came from a hardship that I went through, and actually was giving a voice to my daughter, Piper, who no longer has a voice and wasn't going to have a voice. So my journey kind of began April 23rd, 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic. So it was a very challenging, emotional time already. And I went into labor with my daughter, my second daughter. It was a healthy pregnancy. She did slow down in utero moving, but I still got some movement, and I was tiny, so I didn't think too much of it. Heart, everything was going well. But when I delivered her, it was fast, and she came out unable to breathe, move, really any function, but she was alert. But they immediately had to intubate her and noticed immediately all of her issues neurologically. So she was rushed to Akron Children's. I was left behind at SUMA in Akron, but my husband was able to join her. And Akron Children's, I can't speak enough. They're now my second family. An amazing, amazing hospital system for children. And she was put in the critical care NICU. At that time, they discovered it took a little bit of time to discover it, but I think more of the doctors knew what it was when they saw her. And of course, our denial in that there could ever be anything wrong with her was there. But she was diagnosed with one of the rarest forms of spinal muscular atrophy. It's spinal muscular atrophy type 0, which is a muscular disorder for children where essentially their muscles don't develop. And they eventually weaken, they cannot move, swallow, breathe. And her disorder was the worst and the most severe in the sense that it happened in utero. The other types, there are some amazing cures and medication for, but you cannot lose the function before it's there. So unfortunately, Piper did not have much hope as far as a quality of life. And, it took a while to get to that journey, but we decided that we were going to unlock her from that pain and give her the opportunity to fly. So on May 20th, 2020, we removed her from the ventilator, but we were able to do that outside Akron Children's in their beautiful garden area. They orchestrated it in front of a beautiful hydrangea bush, and there was a little bit of sprinkling, so it was kind of cool because she got to experience all the weather patterns. And right when we removed her tube, the sun came out and she passed within 5 minutes at 4:32 p.m. And so we knew we made the right choice with her being so fragile. But I felt there was this weird part of me that felt robbed from the disability community because it's such an incredible community. I'm an educational audiologist professionally, and I knew I wanted to do something that would allow me to still be her mother, still be a way to honor her in a positive way. I mean, not that grief support isn't positive, it's so needed. I was living it on a day-to-day basis and still am. but I have a 5-year-old, now 5-year-old, and I wanted something for her to hold on to that made her feel proud and happy. So Piper's Key, we gift inclusive books to children with disabilities that represent themselves in a positive light. So I just feel that a book is the first media device a child gets. It's the first thing they hold. It's the first thing that teaches them communication in the world. And so why not give them a book that they can actually see themselves in, a character that looks like them and is represented in a positive way. So yeah, that's Piper's Key.
So how did you decide that an organization, a 501c3 nonprofit, was the route you wanted to go with Piper's Key?
So I always wanted to give back. And, that being said, I really knew going down a 501c3 path was going to be hard and a really big challenge. Another kind of divine intervention story, because everything kind of lined up great with Piper and what we felt was her mission, and this is hers. One of the sayings we use is she was unlocked from pain but freed by love, and so that's where the key comes in. But when I looked into the 501c3 process, it was right during the pandemic, and well, again, we're still kind of in it, but in 2021, and I was told it was going to take over a year, and the IRS did have his disclaimer that any of those applications were going to take a really long time. Well, the day I got my 501c3 status, and again felt like I was actually an organization ready to kind of take charge and really start this mission, I found out I was pregnant with my now rainbow baby Leo. So Piper kind of gave us a little sign, because that was also something we were not trying to do, but she really wanted to kind of let that be.
That's so incredible, and I think what some people, and kind of, I'd say my prior self, I didn't want to believe that things line up for a reason, and kind of when you're bought in of taking things kind of out of your hands, and whatever that higher, whether somebody's religious, they're not, that there's some things that just take aligning to happen, good, bad, and different, and that's something that I 100% agree with, and I find it. I just find it so interesting. The more people I talk to, and now most recently you, that how things line up and how specific they are, whether it's to the day, whether it's to the weather outside, or being on a trip, or how things just really come together. And it was almost like you had in your mind, you wanted to do something, and you had your ideas, and maybe not quite sure exactly the vehicle, and then as things happen, and it just comes more clear. And so it's like, okay, I'll know it when I know it. So when I get to that point, and so having these kind of divine interventions, or these paths crossing, and these events, it's really just incredible. Can you speak just a little bit to that?
Yeah, honestly, I've always said that Piper was giving me signs. She gave us signs the minute she was born, with everything, kind of knowing that we're going to go through this, and she had a purpose. And one of the things that I always say is, regardless of how long that life is, if you were stillborn or a miscarriage and unable to be in that world, that baby still had a purpose. Yeah. Any life, no matter the time. And hers, she just needed 27 days. With a lot of those dates, we found so much of, even just coming to the decision that we were going to take her off life support, was so much of that divine intervention. Obviously, we yo-yoed back and forth with that hope and not wanting to do that. And, one of the things that my husband continued to say is, I don't want to make this decision for Piper. I want her to make this decision on what's best for her. And one thing that she showed us in the hospital that gave us that ability to know she needed to be set free was one night, I actually hadn't left the hospital, in like 6 days. And I finally went home, and he kind of took over and was laying with her at night. And I was at home finally relaxing with my mom and my best friend. And we were just, for the first time, laughing about something. And I get a call from Ryan, and her tube had slipped. Even just a tiny like millimeter.
Yeah.
And so she had to be extubated, and they immediately were like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to keep her off life support now, or do you want to re-intubate her and go from there? And at that moment, she was re-intubated because they didn't want her end of life to be that way. But in that moment, we realized how fragile her life would be, that she did not deserve that she deserved to fly and have that quality of life. And I think now she's taught so much. She's taught me and made me a better person, and be able to now give this opportunity to help other children and parents really understand just how to live and enjoy life, and even if it's just through a little book. And I think that that's just going to make a difference.
Yeah. What's one thing or a couple things maybe you've learned, I guess, throughout the process of once you attain that 501c3 status, reaching out to the community, how those connections where you let's say you still get that validation, like, yep, we're doing the right thing, because obviously there's going to be times where things are good, and there might be times where, like, okay, there's not an event, or there's not a way for me to give. I guess, how do you, is that something I deal with? How do you manage that and work through that?
I think what I've noticed with Piper's Key is how much it's evolving, and I've kind of just let it go the route it needed to go. Yes, we're surrounded by literacy, and social media and everything is a huge aspect to help. And I've kind of done little projects along the way that are a little different, just guiding it where it needs to go, which has allowed, I think, the mission to kind of be spread. Getting the books, I think what's been the hardest for a lot of people to understand that these books are free. It's nothing that they have to pay for. So that word has just been the biggest thing, just like pushing that out. And honestly, I'm still learning. I am not a business person. My husband is. I am not. I prefer to be told what to do. Not a lot of people like that. But I have an amazing board backing me, and I have my family that's backing me, and we are just kind of making sure that you keep promoting it. But I will say we have busier times than others, and being that I work full time, I would say the summer is definitely easier for me to kind of promote that. I'm now that when we first launched, obviously getting donations for the books was easy. People were willing and quick, but now we do work a little bit harder at that. But trying to set up events and activities along the way, and hoping to kind of organize more fundraisers as we go. Perfect.
So how can people get involved with Piper's Key, learn more about what you do, kind of the current events of things that have happened, and those exciting things?
Absolutely. So we are on Facebook and Instagram. And also you can visit www.piperskey.com, and on there you can contact us and reach out, either if you're an author, because I love taking especially local authors, parents that have maybe written a book about their child, anything unique. And all our disabilities, we range from mild to maybe not even someone working on a speech impediment that isn't necessarily permanent, all the way up to multi-disability. So anything, we would love to have them included in our library. And then you can also reach out if you're a parent, grandparent, provider, and request a book, and I will just mail it directly. Or they are also provided at the hospital. So at Akron Children's, we're pretty actively involved and have a lot of our books in a lot of their clinics. And then we're hoping to get into Rainbow Babies and Cleveland Clinic soon.
So those connections, so I'm fascinated. So I am a business person, I'm still learning. Actually, you have that connection with the Akron Children's, given the experience. So how do those introductions for you go when you reach out? Is it somebody you know and they're like, yep, I'm the right person, or let me connect you? For those organizations out there that might be looking to get more involved and want to reach out.
Yeah, so I personally find, especially those big hospital systems, Starting from the top is not the way to go. You won't get an answer. Even if you were a patient or your daughter was a patient. So I really just used the connections that I had and started there, and kind of worked from the bottom up. And from there, because especially our children's hospital system, it is a network. We're very fortunate in Northeast Ohio to have such a wonderful children's hospital network. And so from there, those professionals have reached out to other professionals at different facilities, and they're hearing, oh, these books, and they're being passed out at certain at all these offices just to kids that are coming in for appointments. So I think that the networking is really important to get your name out there, but most importantly, knowing, who is going to be even bigger. So maybe someone that's simple. You never know their connection that they're going to have with that. You don't have to always just go to the top.
I guess a question I should ask kind of at the beginning, how did you come up with the logo for Piper's Key and the color scheme? And
So pink was her color. Purple was, though my 5-year-old would argue now, because now her color again. But at the time, purple was. Okay. So pink was kind of Piper's color. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, it can be pink. I'm like, everybody wears pink now, right?
That's right.
And the book and being literacy, and the butterfly just kind of signifying that, angel on earth aspect without being too literal. Mm-hmm. So that I found it and played around with it and changed my logo around, and it's become our little logo. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll come back with Dr. Jessica Hoffler here in a minute. Just want to let our audience, both on Facebook and on our podcast, about our upcoming Voices for Voices, a Brand New Day event, which is our annual event. It's on October 12th at 7:30, and for those that are in the Northeast Ohio area, it's going to be held at the Canton Cultural Center, and tickets are $20, and all the proceeds go towards the Voices for Voices organization, which is also a 501c3. And the great tie-in with kind of our episode here today and tonight is Dr. Jessica Hoffler is going to be one of the I call it the blockbuster speakers, but one of the 3 individuals that's really going to talk a lot about what she's talked about here with us today, and really just that thought of kind of a brand new day, kind of like with Piper's Key of unlocking and setting her free. That's with Voices for Voices, and with the Brand New Day event specifically. You'll want to share experiences of real everyday people, not celebrities, just people that are going through and have gone through some traumatic things, whether that is mental health related, whether that is anything really traumatic. So it doesn't have to be mental health related. That's how I started the organization. But obviously, as I'm learning and want to have a broader reach, that individuals with mental health challenges aren't the only individuals that have gone through traumatic experiences. So again, Dr. Jessica Hoffler will be one of the blockbuster speakers. We're also going to have Brian Laughlin, who is a lieutenant at the Twinsburg Fire Department. And then one of my actual former students, James Warnican. He is an online specialist with expertise in search engine optimization and data analytics. And he's actually legally colorblind. And so he goes through certain software packages to be able to do the work for his businesses now. And even when he was my student at Walsh University, there were some I guess accommodations, accessibility things that he was able to do. So really not only from a spectrum of age range, but from first responder to somebody in education, traumatic, male, female, that we're we are all going through and have gone through things, and I really want with a brand new day is to talk about not just some of the tough times, but how the message of a particular mission and vision is living on, and how it's touching and reaching and helping more people. So again, you can find out more about A Brand New Day at voicesforvoices.org, or you can go to Eventbrite, which is the official event platform to put events together, and you can search A Brand New Day, and then you'll find that, and then you can join us in person. We're also going to have an online live stream option as well, but we'd really love to have you and bring a friend, a family member, somebody that would like to be uplifted. So not just the speakers, we're also going to have a special needs band going to be playing, so some real rock music. So some of these individuals are going to be playing real live instruments with some mentor musicians, and everything from the music. It's all going to be played live in person. We're not going to use auto tune like some of the music today. And even the singers, the vocals are going to be done. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you'll make plans to join us, and you'll see more on this coming up on our social media pages, the Voices for Voices on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you consume content, as well as future podcasts. So coming back to our conversation with Dr. Jessica Hoffler, I am curious, and I think for our viewers and our listeners, so what's next for Piper's Key? You talked about having some different projects that are still in that realm that come up and you tackle and you go through. I'm just wondering, just as an organization, as it continues to evolve, what other exciting things, or what can people continue to expect from you?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're really into right now are setting up those free little libraries around communities, and having those become more inclusive. So we helped establish one at Rushwood Elementary in Nordonia Hills. So that was ribbon cutting ceremony was done in mid-May, and it was beautiful because Sarah, the intervention specialist there, and Gina, the school psychologist, just ran this and made sure that the kids were all involved. So the special ed kids were the ones decorating the box, and then the whole building, all the kids painted rocks to go around it. So it was really cute. We also did a little library where Piper is buried at Silver Springs Cemetery, and that one's more grief focused. It's called Quinn and Leo's Library of Hope, after her siblings. And so those are all grief focused books for all ages. So again, I let it kind of steer where it needed to be. So that little library is available to anyone that's grieving and needs that opportunity to kind of feel again that hope in the dark times. And then my goal is to start to do it also around the community. So we're in Hudson, so the next route would be in the elementary schools there. And so I have that conversation started, and we're kind of working in that realm. Otherwise, I'm really just striving to continue to get in as many hospital systems as possible. So we were nationwide in Columbus, and then now we were just contacted by a genetic counselor in Dayton. So I'm hoping to get some more books there too, as they come. So it's been really, I'm just letting it take off where it needs to go. And as I've kind of, I realize is it's going to grow as Piper grows too. Yeah. So I don't want to ever exclude that adult market too. Yeah. So, that conversation's always been open to with different foundations.
Wow. Yeah. Does it surprise you? I know that Piper's, it has and always will guide the organization if like looking back at, as we say here today of, okay, when you're thinking about the organization and wanting to do something and seeing just how that evolution has been, is it surprising what you thought? And
it's definitely taken off more than I anticipated. And there are times I'm even like, ooh, I have to punch the brakes because, I'm a full-time mom. I work full-time in the schools as an audiologist. So, I have to realize, my capacity. But if Piper was here, I would be busy with a third child. So, it's something that I didn't see evolving where it needs to. But what's incredible to see is the need. And it just made me realize how much our world really isn't inclusive in that disability community. And particularly how scary it can be as a parent to navigate. And that sometimes those books are more beneficial for those family members than they even are for the child themselves, who doesn't see themselves as different yet. Yeah. But the parents immediately put that on them and are like, wow, what am I going to do with this child who's clearly, they're grieving the loss of a child they thought they were going to have. So when they read these books that are written by other parents and they see these other kids thriving or hear these stories about them thriving, no different than anybody else, just with different tools and using their disability to just be an amazing person, it really is powerful. But I've noticed how much that's needed in the world right now.
Oh, it sure is. And I'm all about feel-good stories anytime, but definitely now to hear stories about helping others, whether how small or how big, and the different ways and the avenues and how one door can open up another. Definitely, I was glad that I was able to cross paths with you, with Piper and her organization, and you to be able to share her story and to continue to help others. I'm sure she would want you to continue the different ways as they evolve, that as different experiences come up, like, hey, yeah, we can do that. And so I want to just thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, and looking forward definitely to October to just have you just get in front of more audience members, more hopefully donors, more people that want to get involved with Piper's Key and learn about something that maybe they were closed off to. Maybe they just didn't take the time to look into those things for whatever the reasons, whether it was intentional or unintentional. I think that's going to be big. So again, before it goes, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to just make sure from a promo standpoint that gets included?
I think it's just letting you know that there are multiple ways to be involved, and our books are 100% driven and purchased through donations. So if you do want to contribute to Piper's Key in even the smallest way, we're on Amazon Smile, so you can select us as your nonprofit, and proceeds will go there. It's like 0.05%, but nonetheless, it adds up, and I'm very surprised. You can do Facebook, charities, those donations that they collect. You can also donate on our website, or just look for Piper's Key and request a book and send it to someone you know. We all know someone going through something, and we all know someone with a child with a disability, whatever that may be. So, send them a book and brighten their day, and that's what I'm here for. So, again, it's piperskey.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been the House of You podcast, sponsored by Voices for Voices. I'm your host, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us, both on the audio podcast, which will be forthcoming, and those who are enjoying on the live stream. We're excited, glad you join us. Hope you continue to join us and continue to learn more about Piper's Key and help out where you're able to. So. Okay, that I think good. Okay, cool.
We're good. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. That's the earphone.
Don't hook on there.
Yeah. Maybe grab a couple pictures. And
Yeah, of course.
My wife was like, "What is this? Is it a shirt?" I'm like, "It's from Greece. It's
And
like
it's
this,
a cool
like fashion."
Yes, it's fashion.
It's so funny.
Aw.
I wore her like on the plane, and she like that's like the first. I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
you don't ask? Like,
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny. Go grab especially since now my phone is actually in use.
Since your phone's actually in use?
Yeah. Well, on the.
Oh, come on. You're on. I hit camera anyway. I take a few because my phone doesn't always. Like if you move a little bit,
Yeah.
mine likes to be blurry. It doesn't have that auto sensing.
I know, right? Hey, I don't have a text from home, so that's good.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
So,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
so much.
And then just keep me posted on when so I can share and do that as
Absolutely.
well on my platform. So.
Yeah, because it'll be done pretty much tonight, and then probably maybe a week or
Okay.
two just to get it and
No,
kind of
no rush.
my cue.
I'm off for the summer for
Oh.
sure. I'm just hanging out. So by all means, yeah, we're doing. So actually, News 5, Cleveland News 5 will be interviewing me on Wednesday too.
gosh.
So yeah, it's fun. So I.
You know what? Well, then I can post it like that to coincide, or do you want that to be?
Well, I have no idea. I don't know when they're going to air it. They're just interviewing me, so
Right.
I don't know when they're going to air
Okay.
it. It's probably going to be one of those stories. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be. They haven't given me any details. It was pretty much like, hey, we're going to come down. This is, and I was like, okay. But yeah,
Okay.
so I'll keep you posted on that too. But
because I definitely want to have promoted and.
yeah, I'm excited, and it's
Yeah,
actually.
have her talk on here and I'll spread it out when it
Okay,
comes
cool.
out.
Yeah.
And then Megan, you met Megan,
Yeah.
the author of Super Special Management. She's gonna join me on that too. So
We've all got to help each other out. We're all
Yeah.
trying to get
Yeah.
going. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
It was a pleasure.
appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
You have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Grab some water.
Because it'll be quicker because we're not going to jump up and into stuff. That way,
Yeah, it's still
on there, when you I think you can download it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can strip the audio, and then you can throw this audio in. So if it's still running now, you'll just have to.
Because it's still running.
No. I don't have her. I stopped it so you'd have the two, and we don't have a long.
Okay.
You know, they're talking now.
One file. Yeah.
Right. So you can just start this right when kind of you line up where you guys start talking,
Yeah.
and then you'll do the same the next part. You can stop me and chop that and make 2 videos out of it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The live feed's a live feed for now.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
What's up, Justin's friends?
No, this is perfect.
Gotta give a little something there since there's no one.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna
Just be like, hey, we're gonna be right back.
We'll be right back.
It's strange because this table, like if you look at this table, like like when you're looking at it online, this table almost looks like it's stone.
Oh.
Shut that.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a tablecloth. It looks like it's like a stone table.
No kidding.
I'm gonna set these like out because I saw how that's set up.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
it's streaming right now, so.
Yeah, set it up however, yeah.
Yeah, I'm super proud to be working for ARC Behavioral Health and, everything that they've done for me and for.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set this over here. I need to shut my phone off though because it's streaming.
Oh.
That's probably not the best. There we go. I think I have all those out there.
And sometimes I'll like be Googling like information about people as I'm like talking, but now that I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So, it's all good. It's just funny, like little things that we need to do.
You forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget, definitely. Is this good? Do you like right here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you ready? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the House of You podcast, sponsored by Voices for Voices. I'm your host, Justin Allen Hayes, and with me today is Rebecca LeMasters from ARC Behavioral Health. First and foremost, thank you for joining us for definitely the audio portion for the podcast, but then also for the live stream for those that are tuning in tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I think we have a ton of things in common, so we'll try to steer it in somewhat of a straightish direction. Maybe if you want to just start for those individuals that want to know what you do and maybe a little about your story, how you got involved with ARC and those types of things, and then we can go off with stories and
yeah.
This.
Yeah. So professionally, I got involved with behavioral health about 5 years ago. Previous to that, I was in the medical field in nursing, and I had some issues with drugs and alcohol, and it led me into a life that just I couldn't leave that life anymore. So I went into behavioral health to actually find my way, and I went into that really wanting to find out more about, treatment, because I really didn't get the treatment that I really give to people or people that receive. So I figured the best way to find out about it was to work in the field. So I worked internally in treatment centers first. And I went through a process of becoming like a recovery coach and becoming, a credentialed, an assistant to a counselor, and then just kind of working my way up into business development. Okay. And what I do now is I really, I am a director now of a behavioral health unit. So, and the reason I got into that, obviously, like I said, was because of my own issues. And I think I am surrounded by it. Every time I go somewhere, every time I talk to someone, it's either substance abuse or mental health. And I don't think that it's something that I seek out. I think it's just our world today. Okay. I think everybody is struck by something. Reality is tough, and we don't all handle it the best ways. So there's great professionals out there to kind of navigate for us and steer us in the right way. So, yeah
great. And I know you mentioned as you were kind of going through your treatment versus the treatment and the care and the support that you give, kind of, they're different of what you may have received versus kind of what you do.
Yeah.
From that learning process, could you maybe describe maybe one or two things that maybe you noticed that you're like, okay, if I ever have the chance to do this type of work, here's how I would change it, because I have some to add in it as well. I'm just curious to what you.
So I think when I went through it, I mean, like, I just started talking about my story, like, maybe like a year and a half ago, because the first thing was the embarrassment of it all. You know, one, I was a professional. Two, I was a mother and a wife. And I don't think that I was like the poster child for a person that should be using substances, such as, well, first of all, alcohol wasn't really looked at as a drug or a substance, although I was using it to numb a lot of things in my life. So, and you can hear the shake in my voice. I still, you know, someday I'm hoping that goes away, but I don't know if it really ever will. It's because of some of the trauma that comes along with even like coming out with some of these things. You know, when I tried to come out with these things, it was like I was always told, you know, it's just a phase. It's, you know, everybody has stress. And I was actually pushed more towards it, like go have a beer, or go have a drink, or have a night with your girlfriends, but that never really was just like one, and it was never really a night. It was like devastation. Yeah. You know, it was like divorce, and I mean, it just compiled. And the treatment that I got was like shunning from my employers, from my colleagues, from family, from friends. And it was a lot of isolation. It was losing jobs. It was, you know, a lot of things like that. I mean, it was horrendous. It was a lot of hospitals. It was, but I mean, I turned to an AA community, and that's who accepted me. And that's where I really got grounding. And I really believe in that still today. I have to be honest, I don't go to a lot of meetings today. It doesn't fit my lifestyle necessarily. I still believe in the core values. But those are the people that accepted me. But I was still very hush hush about it. Like, there were meetings I went to very early or very late. Yeah. But they were still there. You know, but I didn't get hospitals. I didn't get cushy pillows and comforters, and you know, but even though people get those, and I think they deserve those things, and they deserve the best care, what I didn't get, I fight for people to get today, because they deserve it. Right. They deserve that care, because everybody deserves the best care, because we're human beings, and when we're hurt, we need to heal. And if you have a cut, I'm going to give you a Band-Aid. And if your heart is sick and if your brain is sick, I'm going to give you something to heal it. You know, just because I can't see it doesn't mean I'm not going to try to help you, you know. And if that means I give you a hug, or if I give you a great clinician, or whatever I need to give you, that's what I'm going to try to do.
And just as you're going through that scenario, that experience, the thing about mine as well in the corporate community, having it being shunned, having, you know, you just need to get through this situation. You just need to get this project done. And I even found with one of my last or most recent employers where there was an individual, and she had gone through a loss of a family member. And so the organization had put together, I don't know what type of a partnership with an organization to get 3 free visits. And so I found out about that. I think at that point I might have been like 2 years into my recovery. And so I have a psychiatrist, I have a therapist, and I was like, oh, I could get the organization, I could get 3 free visits, because even if you have insurance, there's still a cost that has to be paid. There has to be a payment somewhere. And so I went to HR, because I was like, oh, like, so everybody gets, everybody gets 3 free visits. And it's like, oh, no, that's because, you know, she went through something a little bit intense or more traumatic. And those might not have been the type of words, but basically it was like, well, no, you don't get that. And this individual does. And there's many parts of mental health and behavioral health that's broken, and unfortunately there's a lot of room to grow. But I found at that point, maybe, I was trying to, I don't know, I want to say like game the system, but it wasn't like I was trying to pocket like $1 million of the company's money. I was like, well, if I could see somebody for 3 visits and not have to even have the co-pays to run through either my insurance, my wife's insurance, whatever it was, could I do that? And I was like, okay. And so that's kind of like...
Sometimes I think we're just searching for, like, I don't mean to, like, even interrupt you, but I see you even now struggling, like I'm struggling to even say it, but, like, we're struggling for someone to just help us define, like, why we are not being told that we, like, why we're hurting, you know, why we're just being told to just keep working, like, and why are you constantly patting me on the back for doing such a great job, high as a kite, or drunk as a skunk, or, like, I mean, like, why are you patting me on the back for working so hard, even though you see that I'm completely inebriated, or I'm taking pills like every hour on the hour? Like, you see me doing these behaviors, but yet because I'm successful, you know, at my job, and I look successful at my life, and I'm thin, and my hair looks good, and all of these things look so great, you know, I'm just not great, you know. But this is how it is. When the outer shell looks great, people, you know, they want to be like, you know, the hands-on is like, oh, the pat on the back, because, you know, that uncomfortable space of saying, hey, you have a problem, you need to seek treatment, you know, let's get you some help. Like, that just wasn't how it was. And this is just, I mean, like, this is just what, 11 years ago. So we've learned how to crack that shell, you know, in the behavioral health field. And I know that that's why you're here too. That you've learned that too with what you're doing with your projects. And I think that we just had to be the examples, you know. I mean, like, in life, some of us have to just be, I mean, and I'm not being a martyr, but that's just how it is. You know, some of us have to come out with these stories and have to talk about them, because it makes it better for the people that are suffering now, or maybe people that are still suffering from back then. I still am helping men and women from the Vietnam era. They're suffering from so much trauma, that have PTSD and have physical problems and have issues with homelessness. I mean, they are chronically homeless because they don't mentally know where they fit in, because they were never given the treatment that they deserve. Clear back from then. But now we're trying to rectify that situation. That's our job now. Right. So that's why I'm in this field. I mean, I am in this field to fight the good fight, and I will do it until I friggin' die. You know, I love what I do, and I fight for the big guy, the little guy, the medium guy, whoever, and the woman, the man, whoever it is, you know, like, and I mean, it's just that you can hear the passion in my voice. Like, I hate when people are mistreated, and I allowed myself to be mistreated for so long, because I also allowed myself to be held on a pedestal. Like, you look so good, you're this, you're that, because I was scared. I was afraid to let that facade crumble. And when it did, man, did it crumble. You know, so it and that's a rough place. But that also helps me with my job. Because when someone calls in, or a family member calls in, and they say, I need help, or a loved one needs help, I really honestly can put myself in their shoes, and I can say, I know what you're going through, so how can I help? And you just have to stop, and you have to listen. You know, I mean, there's times when there are people that are too close to me and I have to remove myself because, I mean, you can't help everyone. You do have to remove yourself at times. You know, there have to be boundaries that you put in place, but, you know, you just have to love everyone. But most of the time I can put myself, you know, in their shoes and I can put them in a program where they belong. You know, I work for an amazing company. I'm really, really honored and really blessed that this company picked me up. I mean, like, I've been like praying for a job like this for a really long time. You know, I was hired by some great people. They've shown me amazing support. Our center in Ohio is going to be opening up, and it's just gonna, I mean, it's just like blowing everything out of the water. They just really care about what they put into every single center and every single treatment plan that they put out there. I mean, they are just not willing to take a shortcut. You know, our behavioral health is just, bar none, some of the best care that you're going to get in the business. That's just all there is to it. I mean, but there are other wonderful like treatment centers out there, and I refer to them every day. I mean, because I have colleagues that are working just as hard as me, and they're doing a wonderful job. And the people that I refer to them, they go into the program and they recover. They're doing great even today. But that's because those colleagues that I work with, I'm close with them, and they offer a full continuum of care. They don't let them, I mean, they go through a detox, they go through residential, and then when they get out, they go through sober living. And then they get into a program where they have a great support system, and they do things like your program. I mean, like, your program offers, I mean, what don't you guys offer?
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up, because the organization Voices for Voices, as many organizations do, they do have those evolutions of, you know, here's how we start, and as time goes on, here's what the needs are, and looking a little bit at the competition of saying, what do some organizations offer, and what do some that don't, and how those line up kind of with my expertise and what I can do. And so informing and educating the community, I think that's huge. That there's people that just don't know, they don't want to know, they don't want to read the news story, hear what's going on, whatever that may be, and that's great. And we need organizations out there, and that's one of the foundations of Voices for Voices was, okay, well, I can help inform and educate those individuals, kind of going through those times. And when those individuals, as you mentioned, when they call for help, and knowing from my experience as well, they need help then. They don't need help in 2 months. They don't need help. Maybe they do in 2 months, but they need help like right at that time. And so, well, I can't get you seen for 2 months because you don't sound like you're in kind of dire straits or whatever that may be. That led me to the ER 3 times, because I'm like, well, I'm being told that it's not dire enough, so I got to go to the ER. And then that whole getting over, you know, myself and the stigma, the mental health, and so that bringing it back to Voices for Voices of, you know, I want to do action. I don't want to just here's information, here's literature. Yeah, we do an annual event, but we want to do more. And so by giving options that might not be available, or the individual when they're going through that crisis, if you say, hey, go to this website and check this out, that might just be a little bit too much for them at that time to even do that. And in the driving situation, okay, how am I going to get there? This is great. You're giving me information for Portage County. I live in Summit. And really just connecting those dots of, okay, what and who are the great organizations that are able to help? And if and when the calls do come through, who are those organizations that can potentially get them seen in less than maybe a larger organization, and not have that individual have to resort to call 911, having an ambulance come, and have them told, which I was told, oh yeah, you just have anxiety. Like, oh, excuse me, there's no shit, I have anxiety, but I need help. Like, and it was that crying out. So bringing that and giving those individuals just the opportunity of like, okay, I can go through my growing list of here's 5 organizations and you're in what county, let me reach out to them, or and then let me, like, as we're on the phone and be texting and get those get those set up while you're still on the phone, where that individual or that family member is going through that crisis. And then once that individual or family member or friend of the family or just an acquaintance maybe you just run into and they're overdosing and that they need help and you have no tie to them, as they go through their treatment program of helping them reintegrate with society, not of, okay, now I'm a human again, or I wasn't a human, but just more of, okay, now I'm ready to go back to the workforce. And maybe that job I was doing, I loved aspects of it, but it was really toxic. And so bringing that to me, there were things that I loved about kind of the corporate world, and then there were things that I didn't, and finding how toxic and how long the hours were, the expectations, the unsaid expectations, the happy hours that you have to go to, and if you're not drinking, you might not go on that next business trip, and all these things that were really tied together. So these individuals, if voices are voices that go through, at some point maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to teach. Maybe at a local high school. Maybe they want to help the jail population. I was actually meeting
completely different corner.
Yeah, completely different corner.
Yeah.
But give them the option. Maybe they wanted to go into the trades, but their whole life they had the family that everybody goes to college, and then you go and you get the corporate job for 25, 30 years. But oh wait, I got laid off 2 or 3 times because of whatever the situation, and tying it back to just not being able to vent and get away from things, again, from the Vietnam era, and not for me, but for things years ago that I didn't deal with.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted, I'm not saying nobody wanted to, but maybe it was part of me not wanting to do it myself. But if there were the resources out there, just a group to go to. And so
it resonates more with your story and with what you guys do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and that's really cool because like we're on different spectrums, like with what we do, but we're meeting in the middle, and we're treating the same people.
Yeah.
We're just treating them at a different timeline. You know, like I'm meeting them when they're down and out, they're at ground zero, and there's really not much further to fall, you know. And I mean, I'm talking like from everybody, from like CEOs to doctors to nurses to lawyers to baseball players to, you know, tradesmen, people that are in the union. I mean, like people that are and just like or students or people that have never been employed, people, housewives. I'm talking like addiction touches everyone. It literally has no preference.
That's right.
You know, I mean, like it just doesn't. You know, it has no branding. It just is like it touches you and takes you, and that's what it is. So I mean, we treat everyone, and that's kind of like we take them and put them in the right program, and then you're talking about when they get out, they're kind of like their brain is kind of like remapped.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like at like their Etch-a-Sketch has been shook, you know, and you're taking them and you're giving them this book and saying, hey, we have all these resources, you know, you just got out of ARC, like what can we do for you? Like, can we help you? Can we help you do something different that won't lead you back into, you know, or back down that rabbit hole? Because, you know, like that's what's insanity, like going back and doing the same thing. And that's what I'm talking about. Like joining with colleagues and joining with people that see a person and don't want to send them back into that same family dynamic. So you do stuff, you have to reach out to the families too. And that's what we do at ARC too. I mean, we're invested in families, we're invested in, You know, like if they have a job and we have to work with their employer, with FMLA, and have to do all of those things, or if we have to reach out to a union, or if we have to reach out to a nonprofit because like yourself, because they're no longer gonna be taking that avenue any longer, like that's what we do. This is a full continuum of care. We exhaust everything, and that's why I'm doing this podcast today, because I want other colleagues to do the same thing. I want them to reach out to you, and you know, because not everybody has. I'm going to be honest, like I'm going to reach out to you after this, and we're always going to be colleagues, and I'm sure friends. I know we're going to be friends because we have like crazy stories, but you know, I don't have the time that you have and that you have invested in this. That's why you're doing this. That's why I'm going to text you and be like, hey, I have this Jane Doe. She went through our program. You know, I had her at day 1. Now she's at day 70. Like, I can't do it because I've got 10 more Jane Does at day 1. You know, it's not justified for me to try to do, like, that's where professionals like myself, where we exhaust ourselves, and we have to learn our boundaries, and especially if we're in recovery. And that's where I have become. That's where I am now. That's where I think that's why I'm in the right spot now. You know, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been good at this job at where I'm, like, as a director, because I couldn't have said that. I would have taken on day 70 and day 1 and all the days in between. But now I've sought someone else out like yourself, and I'm going to say, like, she needs you. She needs you because she was a teacher, and it was so stressful for her. And gosh darn it, she absolutely hates 11-year-olds. And she teaches 6th grade.
Yeah, so, totally.
You know, and she wants to make knives for a living and work, you know what I mean? So I'm going to send her to you, and I'm going to, like, that is what's so amazing about recovery. Like, you can absolutely bloom and be and do whatever you want. Like, I was in the medical profession. I did hair for a living. I did hair. I still have my cosmetology license. I mean, like, I did it out of necessity. I was a young mom, and I was good at it, you know, like, I made a living out of it. I still like dabble in it or whatever, but it's not what I wanted to do. So I went into the medical profession. It didn't work out. So, like, I fell on my face. I recovered, and recovery is my life now. Like, it became everything to me. Like, it became everything to family members, and like my whole life, like, this is it. And like, God made it my income now too. So it's like a beautiful thing that all of us can just crack open this whole new world, and we get to help them do that. It's so exciting. It really is. It
is, especially with people like you and I, having been through, and we're still, I mean, I don't think recovery
still
really ends. It's not like, oh, well, you're better now. Like I have a lot more tools to use, whether it's therapy, whether it's ideas, whether it's medication, whatever that is. But it doesn't mean that, I mean, when I was sitting in Crete, Greece a couple weeks ago, and I ate dinner, and not having had a drink of alcohol, and
first of all, I'm so jealous. Why does everybody get to go to Greece and I do not? I get to go to Greece. Like, I'm so jealous.
Luckily I was able to go for a couple of marketing conferences that I'm the president for. So it was very lucky to do that. And after dinner, it was just customary, I guess, at this restaurant, is they bring a shot glass and some, I'm guessing it was vodka, some white alcohol in it. And they said it like right there. It's just kind of, okay, well, you had your dinner, and here's kind of like the dessert drink.
Cleanse your palate. Have some alcohol.
And I didn't, and so I was like, okay, well, for like a fleeting moment, I'm like, well, I can just do it. This will just be one time. But then I was like, well, then if I do that, then I'll probably go to the next place, and then I'll start drinking. And so even at that time, just saying, you know, hey, I don't drink. Thank you for the gesture. Finding just that strength of being, 3,000 miles away from home and having those types of, not luxuries, but temptations that come up. That there's so many that you can, that I found I can kind of steer myself away from, to not even kind of see. But then there's others like that where it's like, okay, I'm eating at a restaurant and I don't know what's customary in a different restaurant in a different country. Like, how am I going to act? I was like, I didn't know until that situation. So I'm with you. Recovery, it's not something where it's like, oh, well, I got out of the hospital at this date and time, and so that's when my recovery ended, or when it started and it's ended. And that's one thing that I'm struggling. I work towards, kind of like with some of my acquaintances and some family members at times of I'm in a much better spot, and so like the optics look really, really, really good. Well, he's functioning and he's doing this, and he wrote his book, and he's got this organization, he's got this podcast, and all these things. But it's still, though, taking that energy that would usually be put to, hey, I'm going to go out with friends and drink and get wasted, and taking that energy. And I talked with kind of a mutual, it's now colleague, a friend, yesterday, and we were talking about that, and they mentioned, it said it so perfectly that whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever that is, that it's our body just has this energy, and it's looking to mask something, like whether it's just to pass the time, whether it's for like a real reason, or like a relationship, whatever that is, that things happen. And I've found with Voices for Voices, and it sounds like you with our being in the position you are, of really taking that energy that you still have, kind of that nervous anxiety type of energy, but instead of kind of going to the left, you're kind of decided, no, like I'm going to go more straight or more to the right. Like, I know that's there, but I'm going to take my energy, and if I spend enough of my time and energy without burning myself out, that I'm going to do more good than if just going down this other path.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always tell everybody, I guess, that you have to live your life in recovery as hard and wild and crazy as you did your life when you were, in addiction, active addiction. Like when you're chasing the drug, or you're chasing the alcohol, or you're chasing the women, or gambling, or, food, whatever you're chasing, like you're chasing it hard and fast, and your dopamine is crazy, and you're like, you're up, you're down, you're all the way around. And you kind of have to chase recovery that hard. But you do learn coping mechanisms, and you do learn how to put blinders and semi-blinders on. And you do learn how to hone yourself in. And you do learn how to set up boundaries. Yeah. Now, not everybody around you learns how to do those things. And that is not for you to worry about. Yeah. And that is when your serenity prayer kicks in. And so when you find that happening, let it kick in. Like, say it at a stoplight. Say it when it doesn't matter. Like, there's a lot of times you can say it, you can pray it, you can shout it, you can, whatever you need to do. I mean, whatever that is, whatever your higher power is, do all those things that you need to do to keep yourself on the straight and narrow, and you will be successful. Have your mentors in place, have your plans written down, have your journals filled up, have your pencils short, have your erasers broken, have your pens empty, have your inkwells dry. That's what those are my pieces of advice to everyone who's in recovery. I don't always follow my own advice, especially with people that are super close to my heart, because I love super, super hard. But I am learning. Yep. And I have amazing mentors in my life who have yanked me up by the reins and have said, look, would you give this advice to the people that you're treating and to the clients that your treatment center is treating. Like, is this good advice? Would they be successful? And if I cannot answer that yes, then I'm not living right. And that's, you know, that's how I live every day. And so that's kind of my success story. That, and I guess my kids, you know, they're like my number one success story, and I can't talk about them because I'll cry. So
I mean, and to that point of in the past, for just using myself as an example of doing things selfish, just 100% for me, even if I felt like they weren't, to now to have with the higher power having, whether they're religious or not, like there's something going on, whether people want to admit it or not, how paths get crossed, how things that we it might seem like things aren't going well for a few days or a week or two, and then you get reached out to put an article together about your experience or something that you're doing in a positive light. That's I think when things are validating, and from somebody that wants and has wanted to be like the center of attention. When those things happen, like it's super cool. And for years I was like, well, like I didn't want to do those kind of, I guess, for the good reason and in a good way. And so now when things like that happen, whether it's the book or having a podcast or can't say too much with a little bit of the trip that I was just on, more to come about travels to Poland and how Voices for Voices it is helping internationally as well as domestically when given the opportunity. But when things like that happen and you're in that moment, like, wow, I wouldn't have got to this moment if like these other 20 things that I didn't know at the time were really being lined up. I wouldn't have ended here if these things that I had no control over that lined up. But once things lined up enough and it kind of hit my radar, then the mind, instead of pushing it aside, like, oh, okay, I'm actually going to do this because it meets kind of the mission, the mission, the vision. But yeah, bringing that energy, that anxiety, whatever we want to call it, has been what I've found of being, I guess, I'll say like with it, but just kind of like a little more of a purpose, and then bringing it back to like my daughter of, everybody has kind of different opinions about kids if they don't have the kids, and like, oh, well, I'm never going to have kids, or whatever that may be. But once, and it wasn't until we had our daughter, and like that first, like, okay, like when they start to cry that first time, like that's actually a good thing because that means they're starting to breathe for the first time, and so like from that point on, I've kind of getting back to that purpose of there's, you know, somebody else that is looking up or looking to me, whether I want them to or not, because they're my child, and so it can completely relate. And I think things like those situations and those people are put into our lives at certain points to kind of either keep us going in a direction, or like me, I was in a very fragile state, just a few months before getting out of the hospital with my inpatient stay, and then finding out like my wife was pregnant. It was like, oh, okay, like, and then like reality and all that sort of this set in, and then ever since then I was like, okay, now this is another purpose, a reason like why I should continue this way. That when I was in the emergency room for the third time and was given the option, well, we can admit you, we don't know how long it'll be, average is 5 days or so, or we can release you because you're not dying right now, but
just the slow death.
Yeah, just the slow death. And so when things like that happen, and even you and I crossing paths on LinkedIn, kind of, you know, the things that we're doing, and trying to continue and just elevate the field, individuals. And then one of my other big things is not celebrities. And I know you talked a lot that addiction, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. You can have millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. You can have no money to your name. You can be in one field, you can be an athlete, an entertainer. That it really knows no boundaries. And so with Voices or Voices, I wanted it to be an organization that is just kind of like the average everyday person that isn't going to get the press that an NBA basketball player or an entertainer that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And hearing you talk about your story and how your organization, and sure, some of those individuals may touch some of those different areas, but you're treating the person as a human. It's not like, okay, how much money do you have, and how many hit songs, and how many championships do you have, and how much is your house worth? It's just, hey, this person needs help, so I'm going to do everything in my power to give them that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an average Joe or average Joanne who, is coming in most generally, and I mean, they're struggling. It's not, you see those stories on TV because media, that's sensationalized and that's who gets the word out. But if you look at a lot of our local media and things like that, like a lot of people are investing in a lot of local stories that are out there, and you and I are trying to get our stories out, or other people's stories that are we're just average people just doing good things, because it catches on. It really does. It's just like bad things catch on, look at TikTok. Really dumb, bad things catch on really fast, but really good things catch on too. I've seen my daughter do some really good, charitable or otherwise things, and I'm like, where did you see that? How did you even know how to do that? And she's like, oh, I saw it on TikTok. I mean, it just, it does. You know what I mean? So you just have to choose what you just keep doing. And people are people, there's always gonna be, a mix of both, but we just have to keep doing both. And I mean, even if there is celebrities in our treatment centers, we're never gonna know. We're never gonna tell anybody.
Right,
but,
exactly.
People always want to ask those questions and go there, but we base it on just the average community and laborer and person, and there's other communities too, like the LGBTQ, and there are other letters that go along with that, and I'm not going to act like I am an expert on that, but I am trying to educate myself more on that, because we have a large community now that I have very good friends that are part of that community, and I'm asking them to educate me more, because they're suffering too more, and they're hurting, and they're using drugs and alcohol to mask pain because of trauma, because of simple things of not, and I see things changing. There's restaurants where it doesn't matter who uses this restroom, and that is why I wore this shirt today. And I wore this shirt. It's the Way shirt, and there's someone out there listening who will understand WAY, because there's a young lady in Cincinnati who makes this clothing brand, and it is We Are Young, and she actually she makes it because it is males, females, anyone can wear any of this clothing. It's shirts, pants, socks. I mean, it's pink, it's purple, it's green, it's, actually I don't know if it's purple. I take that back, but it's pink, it's green. I went and I bought $180 worth of clothes from her. She was at one of our events. I love it. And my daughter and I, and my significant other and I, we all wore all of it, and it's great. who cares?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, everybody has trauma, everybody's suffering, and nobody should be told, like, what they should be and what they shouldn't be, and nobody should be having to mask any of their feelings because they love someone or they want to look a certain way or be a certain thing, or you know what I mean? Like, if somebody tells me I'm naturally like a dirty dishwater blonde, but you tell me any day of the week that I can't go and get this done with my hair, you better forget it. And I know that that's very menial compared to like the other things that I'm talking about, but is it really? You know what I mean? Like, is it like you tell somebody that they can't be something that they feel in their heart, in their soul, that they are, and make them feel so traumatic about it from like a young age on, like, and they're using drugs and alcohol just because of that, like, bullshit. Like, I'm not gonna stand for it, you know. So I'm sorry, I'm educating myself on it.
Right.
Excuse my language, but I used to feel differently about it because I was raised Christian, and I still say that I am Christian, but I am changing my Christian skin. I am metamorphosizing it, and I am growing with it, and I have Christian mentors in my life that will disagree with some of my philosophies, and that's okay. They can do that, but anytime I see somebody suffering and in pain, I do not believe that Jesus that I love would stand for that. And these treatment centers, the one that I work for and a lot of the other ones, have a lot of great clinicians that understand these things and will help these people. And there are a lot of programs geared strictly for that, because that is a specialized training that you have to know about. And, you know, we need to open ourselves up to that too.
We do.
So, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox, but I had
That's
to
good.
get that in because I wore this shirt
I'm
for
glad.
that reason. And it is another, you know, we say male, female, but there's pronouns out there now. We put them, you know, we put them on LinkedIn, and we do these things for a reason, you know, because we need to just start, you know, just saying we're just humans, you know. I mean, some of us are as low as the reptiles, and some of us are as high as the giraffes and otherwise, but you know, we're all just, you know, trying to get by. So
we are. They couldn't have said, oh, what should our listeners and our viewers know about upcoming for ARC, for you, that's happening in the future? How to learn more about you, the organization, get in contact with you?
What's upcoming for ARC is we are having some really, really cool events coming up. I just spoke to our digital marketer today, Erin Deneen. She is amazing. I love her to death. She worked with me previously at a previous treatment center, and she just is a genius. And she's going to help me with a ladies' tea that I have going on. It's a Mad Hatter's tea. I'm sorry, it is just a ladies' Mad Hatter's tea. It's a spinoff of Alice in Wonderland, which is a book that is built on mental health and psychedelics and things of that nature. And we are going to be doing that, which I think is a great Ohio event to be having. We're going to be doing it in Bolivar, Ohio, which, you know, we're going to be doing it at the Vesper Hall, which is a great little place, which we'll be coming out with that. Then we'll be having a golf outing later on in the year, and we'll come out with all these dates and we'll market those dates. You know, those dates aren't solid yet because there's a lot of stuff that comes along with those. The treatment center in Ohio is in Van Wert, Ohio, and it is beautiful, gorgeous. We have Molly. She is the head of that treatment center. I mean, not the head of the treatment center, but she is there running it, killing it, getting all the construction workers in and signing papers and getting people interviews going on. I mean, she's just like, she's wonderful, but we have a lot of stuff going on there, but we are going to be opening doors. We will have a grand opening there, but it's Ohio Recovery Center, and it's going to be detox and residential, and it is a beautiful piece of property. It's going to be a beautiful place for people to recover, and it is just detox and residential. It is co-ed, and those will all be on site on the same property. It's about half an hour outside of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah.
So we're actually we've been making a lot of friends in Indiana here recently. It's been really nice to meet a lot of the people that are in Indiana, and they've been inviting us to a lot of events, and it's been really great because I didn't work in that area a lot before. So otherwise, in Massachusetts, we have our treatment centers there, which I gave you the pamphlets on. We have Bedrock, and we have Recovery Champions, and we have Spring Hill, and anyone, Northeast Addiction Center, anyone that is having any type of issue with substance abuse primary, mental health, secondary, they can contact myself. I am primary in Ohio, but my colleagues in Massachusetts are amazing. I contact them, and we will get anybody, into our programs to get into these to get into these individualized programs and to recover. And it's not an issue if you're from Ohio, you want to travel to Massachusetts right now, and it is commercial insurance, obviously, but we can help you out with that. It is in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We can definitely help you. The numbers are on the back if you want to. I don't know if you want to say those or if you want me.
Yeah, if you'd like to. Yeah.
But it's 1-877-295-7815. My number is 234-228-3273, and I am 24/7 on the go. Anybody who has any questions about substance abuse can always contact me. What do I have going on? All that and more.
And more. Yeah. Wow. So, is there anything we didn't cover that you want to plug? You want to share with?
I don't. Oh, one more thing. I do want to say one more thing.
Please.
We have a nonprofit in Midvale, Ohio, Meeting of the Minds, and this is our pamphlet right here. And we have some great events coming up. We are going to be obviously at the Chester Ross County Fair. We'll be there actually with ARC. ARC will be there too. ARC will be at a lot of different conferences and fairs and things, but we do a ton for the community. I mean, the people that are a part of this have we have a new girl that's a part of this with us now, but we've really bent over backwards to help out the community, get people what they need, get people educated. We had a Narcan training a couple months ago, things like that. Yeah. Just things that people don't think about. We take on pretty much all the costs for everything. We meet and we talk to one another about what we're going to do next. The next thing that we have coming up is we do have recovery softball.
Yeah, I saw
right
that.
there. Yeah, we have recovery softball at actually it's at the Midvale Fields. Each week they practice there and they have games there. You can get a hold of Travis Garrett for that. He is on Facebook. I don't know your number by heart, Travis. I know you're going to give me crap later for that. But you can get a hold of him for that. But we do have our tournament coming up in August. If anybody plays softball in the state of Ohio or otherwise, any treatment center, anyone has a team, please get a hold of me on Facebook, my phone number, anything. This is a tournament that we are in recovery. We do not drink. We do not have alcohol there. We do not have drugs there. We are a little bit lenient on people that smoke. You have to smoke away from the fields. But we definitely want you to get a hold of us because we've done really good with this tournament. This will be like the 3rd year, and this is becoming an annual thing, and it is great.
Yeah.
I mean, softball is amazing for people that are in recovery. So get a hold of us because this is becoming the thing. I know there's softball all over Ohio.
Mhm.
You know, it's great, but this is definitely recovery softball.
Yeah.
So yeah. So long-winded.
I'm glad. Because you're like I am.
But that's it. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody. Thank Brenda and Travis and Lindsay and Tiffany and Haley and and I want to thank Joan for letting everybody listen tonight. And
yeah, thank you for that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and tonight. Rebecca, it is a pleasure meeting in person, swapping stories, talking about kind of the professional side things, but then also just as humans and the needs we have, the care that sometimes we need, and how we can at least potentially start to navigate that of who can I reach out to first and how can I get into that loop versus potentially another loop that might take a little bit longer and that will be more short term. The continuum of care that ARC has, the programs that with Voices for Voices, that we want the individual to succeed after that diagnosis, after that treatment plan is put in place, and we want that individual to kind of be whoever they want to be and not what others want them to be. And I think that's good for people to hear nowadays, especially. There's just a lot of craziness out there, and just to know that it's okay to whichever angle you want to go in. If you want to go down one way and maybe that doesn't work, then maybe try something else. We'll do it. You're not gonna. I've learned over time. I coined the phrase, but I didn't. But the answer is always going to be no if you don't try it. So if you don't try that thing or that occupation, the answer is always going to be no, and that might turn out to be something just like for you, where you're like, this kind of is lining up with who I am, where I want to be, where I want to go for now, and having something that has meaning, that isn't just an income stream, that needs to have the income to pay bills, hopefully have some form of health insurance, but then when you come home, like, are you still able to be yourself and be like, yeah, I feel like I'm doing a good job, and that's one of the reasons why having this podcast is huge to me, to be able to talk to people that are like, yeah, like I'm doing things that are kind of lining up with what I want to be. I've taken some crazy turns, and so have I, and there probably isn't going to be any straight lines anywhere for me here on out for my life, but just to know that, have the options and have the resources to reach out to. So just wanted to thank you for joining us.
Thank you
on the podcast. It definitely will continue conversation, continue the networking, sharing events and all that good stuff. So with that, thanks everybody today that has joined us and who will be listening to the House of You podcast, sponsored by Voices for Voices. I am your host, Justin Allen Hayes, and we'll see you next time.
That was good.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I felt so. And this happened one other time where the mic stand
Did it,
was
like,
slowly like, and I'm like, what? How much slower can I go before the mic hits the table? It creates all kind of static for Brad. He's like, I got the reverberation.
Is he like saying stuff in your ear? Like,
He can.
tell her to be quiet.
Oh
Tell
no, it's on me. No, I'm usually the one that has like no. But that's the key. Is like when you're talking about something you're passionate about, like
It's
talk
hard.
about it.
It's
Like,
I know it's hard to not, and it's hard. Like I forget things, and
yeah, and then they
you
come
know,
back, and then that's why I'm like, is there anything? Because I know,
yeah,
in my mound of everything, and I still.
I know.
It's like all over the place.
Like I have one person in my life who, like before I came, he was like, don't say this and don't say that and don't say, and I said a couple things to him, and he was in the back of my head and I'm thinking, don't say that again, don't say this again,
yeah.
like don't.
And then it comes
I
out
repeat
like,
I repeat it.
it happens.
At least I don't say and but and like
Oh,
all these,
no.
you know, like I don't talk like that any longer, and I noticed that about myself, and I'm proud of myself because when you first start, you do that. And
because it's hard to verbalize what you're like thinking and like have it all lined up. And
it is. It's all about practice. And when you practice speaking to people, you know, I mean, you get better at it. Obviously, that's why you take speech in college.
Yeah.
But that's like the worst class ever because it's like you get up in front of everybody and just like literally pee your pants because like it's the most horrible class ever.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, so this was so fun. I can't wait to look through this.
Oh,
I wish I
yeah.
would have had this before we did this, but
no, don't worry about
you
it.
gave me a couple of these, so I can't wait to do this. Now, are you like, I mean, if anybody asks me about like coming on, should they just like
just
get
let
a
me
hold
know.
of you?
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it.
Go
It's
from
usually
there, and then okay, cool.
Yeah. No, this is a draft. I'll get you like the electronic, like the main version for like the October event, just with QR codes. And so like I have it electronically, and then like for handout like purposes as well. I was trying to get it for with my travels. I wasn't able to get the final version like I want because I don't have the special needs orchestra or the special needs band that's going to be playing included on that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of I mean that's the look. Those are the three main speakers. The website, the tickets are $20.
Okay.
There's going to be an online. It's going to be live stream. So,
Okay.
But obviously in person if that works in and around Canton.
So it is going to be live and
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be in person. We got 200.
Where's it at?
It's at the Canton Cultural Center.
So that is the one that's.
So there's the Canton Civic Center where they have.
In the arts, right by the Arts District. It's in the. It
is.
Okay, in the Arts District or right by the Arts.
It's right by the Arts District.
Okay, I think I know where it's at. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be in their atrium, and then we're gonna have the tables, the 200 chairs, and there's gonna be this stage and rectangle. There'll be a podium. The studio they work with companies that do like the producing, so they're gonna do the camera and have that live streaming, as well as there's a couple things like my wife did, like I won like a smoke machine or just something like at our wedding reception, and she's like, no, we're not gonna do it, the fire hazard, and I'm like, this is part of what they do, our band performances and things. So they have, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Like, you can't like say no. This is like, it's like that's like my one thing. I'm like, why is he doing this? Like, this is like a nonprofit. Like, I got like the song. Like, they're gonna open up to Lean on Me. Like,
it's so cool. Okay, so are we gonna like set up a table at this, or what are we gonna do?
And that's up to you. Okay, so
so there is a price to do
that,
right?
Yeah, so on here, which he's playing replaying it back. I was
is he
like,
listening
who's
to
talking?
it?
Yeah, he's starting to.
So this is our prices right
those
here.
Okay. And so we are having because since it is in the atrium area, we're gonna have art too from Art therapy individuals,
Okay.
as well as art therapists. And so when people walk in, there's going to be some art on easels, and then there'll be room for the booths to be, because the way the room, because it's so big, there's a
That's
decent
right.
portion.
This is what we like connected on.
Yeah,
Because remember
that was
I
like
told
the
you I was
first
gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe you're doing this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
That's what I wanted to do down here in Tuscarawas County, and like nobody would do it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is okay.
Yeah, this is our second year, and this is how the Voices for Voices started. I wanted to have, it was during COVID, I wanted to have an event that brought people to just like share their stories, kind of,
Yeah.
I call it the brand new day, and then bring some type of musical element, and then the organization kind of morphed from that. Like, I don't just want it to be a once a year thing. And so then I was on the podcast for like my teaching, with that House of You brand, and then I was like, well, why don't I do like the Voices for Voices podcast? And then I was recording 2 podcasts here, so now I've merged them just together. I mean, I run both of them, but it being one recording just makes it easier for me, for recording purposes, for the studio getting all that. And then we started our first ever, like, and I literally got on the plane, I think the day after they went out, like our first like annual giving letters like went out to, like, and I've never done a mailing. I don't know like what it like looked like, and so it's so like definitely feeling like an organization. I mean, it has been, but you know, once
So who's on your roster? Like, who works for you? Who does your mailings and all that stuff?
So I have a print shop, so it's me and a couple board members really that are the
Well, if you ever have an
ones.
opening on your board, let me know. I'd love to like run for it or like be a part of it or
Really?
be on your board. Oh my god, yes. I would love to be on your board.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like if you ever have a spot, let me
Yeah,
know.
yeah, we can
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
And see if like if I would be a good fit, because
I think so.
I would love it. I mean, it would bring it more like into Southern Ohio too, like more recognition. Maybe we could get like the PAC to do something down there, and we could do a Voices for Voices down there, and then like do like travel all over like Ohio.
Yeah, that'd be the
That
goal.
would, oh man, it would be so awesome down there.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, seriously,
Well,
I'm like the person that's like,
I mean,
I make rash decisions, but they're like, getting, they're into that like realm of when, you know, whether it's the right person, the right thing. It's like, I want to grow the organization. I mean, I was even fighting like this group that I'll turn off the live stream here.
Not that
it's,
we're making plans. You can't watch us. Yeah.
Okay.